This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome to the Fan Report, a show made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and with me is Andrew Zuniga with this week's topics.
Well, the Lions looked like, to take Dan Campbell's words, a sea of garbage. And Cade Cunningham made his debut. We'll talk about them both. It's a Fan Report.
So is the term sea of garbage going to be something that we reference on this show often now? Because I feel like it has to be.
I think they should make it part of the jerseys.
At this point, yeah, it should be a patch they wear on their helmets until they, win a game or two.
Until they do something.
Yeah. Does it go up there? Does that soundbite go up there with a little decorum here? Or when Matt Patricia told the guy to sit up straight and tuck in his shirt or something like that? Does it go up there with that?
No, because those felt like more of a joke. This seemed like real. Like, we really are a sea of garbage. Those ones felt like, all right, what the hell are you talking about?
Like you couldn't take those seriously. This one you kind of have to.
Yep. Like, we're like, he's right.
He is right. This team is a sea of garbage. And TJ Lang said it. The team quit. Like, the players literally quit on that game. They stopped caring. They stopped really even trying. They quit. Mm-hmm. And that's a former player that came out and said that. And I don't know if that's the biggest, I can't think of the word, but the biggest referendum. If that's the biggest referendum on Dan Campbell so far this season, but it's damn well close that this team at this point has quit on him. We asked the question of, how is this team going to respond after he cried after the tough loss against Baltimore? How is this team going to respond? Well, pretty shitty.
No, they got bulldozed by Cincy.
They fought against LA, which we expected them to. Mm-hmm. And then they got absolutely run over by a train against a 2-5 Philadelphia football team. And for those wondering, Philadelphia is not good. They are a bad 2-5 football team.
Yeah,
they don't have a lot of good going for them either.
I'd said going into the season, Dan Campbell has a lot of wiggle room with me as a long leash because I know he's working with close to nothing on this roster. But, I mean, 2 of these last 3 games, they haven't even shown up. And that part is on coaching. I get we don't have the personnel on the field to actually win games, but we have the personnel to show up. These are still NFL players. You can't tell me that a team can beat you, 45-6 or whatever the final score was of that game. And they just ran the ball the whole time. You really tell me we don't have the personnel to stop the run when you know it's coming every single play?
This league,
Jalen Hurts barely passed for 100 yards.
I think he threw the ball 10 times. This league is set up in a way to where you can accidentally trip and fall into a win or two in your season.
Yeah,
it's actually hard not to win a game. Mm-hmm. That's why it's only happened twice in the history of the 16-game season. Mm-hmm. It is difficult to not win in this league. And the way this team is playing, I can't pick a win. I can't find one. The way this team is playing, they will not win a game. Mm-hmm. And
you gave up 236 rushing yards to a team that doesn't run the ball, first of all.
And definitely doesn't run it well.
And was missing their starting running back. So
you got to ask, the questions have to start arising about this coaching staff. And I'm honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm even going to throw Brad Holmes into this mix as well, because he was the one who orchestrated the trade with Matthew to send Matthew Stafford out of town. Well, it's come out that the Carolina Panthers offered up a better trade.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Oh, yeah. We had a potential for a better opportunity, like a better trade out there available to us.
Were there details on what it was or no?
I think it was both their first-round picks last year, which could have netted you both Micah Parsons and Penei Sewell, or a quarterback.
I remember this. It was both it was 2 picks from last year's draft.
In the top 10. None of your picks from the Rams are going to be in the top 10, and you're stuck shouldering Jared Goff's contract for a long period of time.
I still don't understand why we extended Goff. I had questions about that.
I think it wasn't. I don't think it was an actual extension. I think it was more of a restructuring that pushed his guaranteed years out further.
But like I was having flashbacks to call. We had 2 12-minute on the field calls in the same quarter. Like that should never happen, let alone twice in one quarter.
Look at the University of Michigan this weekend. Yeah. That was coaching.
And like speaking of coaching and going back to just playing the Eagles in general, I did feel like Dan Campbell, at least in the first quarter, came out with the right idea. He was in QB contain, just trying to make sure Jalen Hurts didn't escape the pocket. But once you realize they're running it up your throats, I'd expect him to adjust at some point, but like we never did.
And there's the lack of adjustments that we saw with Matt Patricia. And I got to ask the question. And when the questions I'm going to ask you, when are the questions going to start to arise and whether or not this coaching staff is the right mix? I believe I heard a stat on my way home that if you put together the scores of the first 3 quarters of the last 2 games, it's like 68-0. The Lions have 0 points in their first 3 quarters of the last 2 games, and they've given up 68.
And I'm not senior calling for anyone to be fired or anything like that, but this is the first week where I've had my worries about the coaching staff. Like before I was like, all right, new coaching staff, new team, not very good players, but 2 out of 3 weeks you just get absolutely steamrolled and come out looking completely unprepared. I was willing to write off one time, but twice in 3 weeks is unacceptable in my opinion.
The guy, in my opinion, who honest to God should be scared for his job right now is Anthony Lynn.
Oh yeah,
he's not an inexperienced coach. He was a head coach over for the LA Chargers. He's been an OC in the past. Like he has experience in this league, and the way that offense looked. And I understand they don't have a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball. I get that. But you still, your team just looks completely inept. The play calling looks completely inept at doing anything. Yeah. They have not scored in the first quarter, in the first 3 quarters of a football game in 3 weeks. 4 weeks if you want to include the bye. Oh, this week's the bye. 3 weeks. That's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Lynn, honestly, questions need to start being asked about him. And talking about Dan Campbell, I personally believe questions should be, we should start asking questions about him as well. Why? Because it's not that we're not winning games. Mm-hmm. It's not that we're not even really that close in a lot of these games. It's that, 1, this team looks to have quit on him already. 2, they're clearly not buying into what he's saying. And 3, how many times are we going to hear, it's on me? Mm-hmm. I have to coach better. I got out-coached. It's on me. I made the mistake of going into hurry up instead of just calling a timeout. I made this mistake. I made that mistake.
Well, I'd rather him say it's on me than to throw players on the bus.
That's fine. So. But it's one thing to make a mistake one time, but he's made the same mistake over and over and over again, and it's multiples of those.
You know who else has made the same mistake over again?
Who?
Jared Goff throwing it out of bounds on 4th down again.
That's on coaching.
That's on Goff. You don't coach a player to throw it away on 4th down.
You literally sit his ass down and say, if it's 4th down, you throw the ball one more time, your ass is sitting on the bench. Guarantee he doesn't do it again. A coach has to step in at some point. Take control of the game. Take control of your players. You're a goddamn head football coach in the National Football League. At some point in your career, building up to this point, you've taken a player, said to him, given him an ultimatum, you do this one more time, you're done. Guess what they got to do? How many times are we going to have Dan Campbell make the same mistakes over and over again before we start to question whether or not this guy's actually fit for this job? Because he's taking the blame for the same mistake and multiples of the same mistake week in and week out, and we're in week 8 now.
No, all I was looking for this season was improvement from week 1 to week 17 or 18.
I've seen quite the opposite.
And yeah, we've seen the opposite. We've seen a regression.
In all facets of the game, including coaching. Mm-hmm. Like there has been 0 improvement in the coaching department. 0. Mm-hmm. If anything, I think he's worse than I thought he was coming in. And that's not really that's saying a lot because I didn't really expect much. I didn't expect a great winning record. I expected 4 wins, maybe. I didn't expect, I expected mistakes. I didn't expect to see the same mistakes week in and week out. Mm-hmm. That's on coaching, and that's on Dan Campbell. So is this guy cut out for this job? I'm starting to, change the tune here. I get it. He doesn't have a lot to play with. I am giving him a pass in that regard. But I'll be honest with you, unless I start to see him fix some of these mistakes that he takes the blame for, it's on me. I don't care if you have talent or not. Those mistakes are inexcusable, especially when you've done it several times.
Yeah.
Inexcusable. And then you add in the fact that, like, you know, the other question is the whole circus act that he puts on, I'm going to bite him in the kneecap. Is that just a circus and a joke? I'll come to his defense a little bit there and say, you know, what exactly do you want him to do in that regard? What exactly do you want him to say? Because looking back to last year and the years prior, how much did we bitch and complain about Matt Patricia just being a robot,
I agree.
Not saying a damn word? The not saying a damn word in it being the overly professional head coach works when you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not winning, you get Matt Patricia. So looking at Dan Campbell in that regard, it's a change of pace. This is what we asked for. We wanted an animated coach. We wanted a guy that's going to come out and tell it how it is in press conferences. Well, we got it. So I'm not going to bitch about that. I am going to bitch about the mistakes that he continues to make and not adjusting to that, not learning from them.
But from day one, I haven't had an issue with that. And I do really feel like people are almost projecting their qualms, what they're seeing on the field, onto that aspect of Dan Campbell's coaching style almost. But it did. But then again, those comments were like those qualms were coming out before we
I was going to say before a single snap was taken, we were hearing people complain about that from the opening press conference of biting him in the kneecap. He had people coming out and saying this is a joke.
But I'm on the side of I'm cool with it.
I'm on the side of we asked for this. I'm not going to say it's good or bad right now because we asked for this at this point. You know, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, this team is showing no signs of life. Then I'm going to have a problem with it.
Yeah, because it's just at some point you got to show that they're not empty words.
Exactly.
And the product in the field has to mirror with the talk you're talking. You got to walk the walk, you know? So, but yeah, on a surface level, I have no problem with him saying those things.
For now, I agree with you. It's not that I don't have a problem with it. It's just this is what we asked for.
Yeah,
we didn't want another zombie or another robot answering questions with the exact same answer week in and week out while this football team is losing. That's not what we wanted to hear.
And I do also like the fact that he's not making excuses. Like he's saying that's a sea of garbage that was out there on the field.
Which is fine. But at the same time,
it's not throwing any one particular player under the bus.
He did throw players under the bus, though, in terms of I've heard him come out and say that guys like Lee McNeil need to be better. Guys like Derek Barnes need to be better. Jared Goff, he literally just railroaded with a truck.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, he railroaded Jared Goff. And then last week, it was more of like, here are like 15 guys that I needed this stuff on. Well,
no, I've listened to his Q&A sessions on 97.1 with Stone.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
And he mentions singular names there that say they need.
Yeah, but he like, and a string of names is what I heard him mention. Like
week in and week out,
he was like guys like this, guys like this, guys like this. And,
usually week in and week out, I hear about 2 or 3 names. Regardless, he does mention players by name and call them out.
Yes. Yes, he does mention them by name. Yeah.
Again, we've talked about that. It is a breath of fresh air. However, it's dangerous. A la Stan Van Gundy. We saw it here. That if you do it too much or you do it in the wrong situations, that player begins to quit on you.
Yeah, I've said before, I don't like calling players out by name in public. That's for the locker room. I think you can do what he did this past Sunday, just say it was a sea of garbage on the field, not naming anyone in particular.
Oh, but absolutely. I have zero problems with them calling it a sea of garbage because, well, that's what it was. And the team, and you better damn well believe the team knows that. There's not a single player in that locker room going in with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And if they do, they shouldn't be there.
What I'm saying is like the fans, the media, they watch the game. They know who's underperforming. They don't need the coach to call them out specifically. That's all. Like anyone by name. That's all I'm saying.
No, I completely agree. But the questions have got to start being asked about this front office, about this coaching staff, because we're not seeing any type of improvement. And I know, like I said, I know they don't have a ton of talent, but there's been zero improvement. And if anything, there's been progress made the opposite way.
Yeah.
So
like I said to kick off the show, I'm not calling for anyone's heads just yet, but I am starting to get a little worried here.
Absolutely, and as you should, because I look down the schedule and I don't see things getting any better anytime soon. Like this bye week, honestly, could not have come at a better time for this team, for them to just kind of take a step back and just regroup. You know, come in with a fresh start, with a new start. You know, come in with the mindset that you are 0-0. going into the next week. That not a single game of football has been played.
Yeah.
I heard it announced today Taylor Decker's been activated. Does that mean he's playing this weekend? No, probably not. But he could be coming back soon. And that makes the offensive line have a new look. Yes, they're still missing Frank Ragnow, which is kind of the anchor of their line. But still, it's one guy they're getting back.
But yeah, after this week, and like I think your best opportunities for a win are the Bears on Thanksgiving at home, and maybe at Atlanta if Calvin Ridley isn't back. Outside
Pittsburgh,
of that,
I still think is a really vulnerable team. I don't think they're any good, but
I would have said that before this week. You're facing Najee. You're gonna let Boston Scott do that to you. Imagine what Najee Harris is gonna do to you.
fair. Granted, Najee Harris has had some dud games as well. He's still a rookie. He's still learning. But
yeah, but they feed him.
They do.
Like, they give him like 30,
They do.
30 plus touches a game,
They
and that's
do.
a team that normally runs. So
Right. Either way, though, like
have we seen the blueprint now? Not that any team needed a blueprint, but are we going to see teams do what the Eagles did now over and over again?
I think teams will do whatever the hell they want. You don't need to just.
As I said, it's not like we need a
Right,
blueprint.
they don't
Like,
need
it's
one. If you want to go out
but-
there and have your quarterback throw 35, 40 times, you're still going to put up 50 some odd points on the Lions. You want to run your running back 40 times, you're still going to put up 40 some odd points against the Lions. There is no like the blueprint. There isn't one. If teams are going to do what they want to do, they're going to run a game script. I bet you that there are some teams out there that will literally run their game plan like it's a practice. Why? Because the Lions ain't stopping it anyway. So they're going to go out there and run some plays that they've been trying out in practice just to see how they do it, how they work in more of a live game environment. That's just the fact of the matter. That's the truth. Because until the Lions prove that they're a threat to anybody, what's going to happen? That's what team's going to get treated like. That's what your defense is going to get looked at like. You're going to be the guinea pig.
Is it an overreaction to say that not only might this team go winless this season, they might actually be worse than 2018?
Oh, I actually think that this team very well could be worse than 2018. I look at the talent on that team versus talent on this team. Ooh, man, I think this team might actually be worse. And that's not the first time I've seen that take either. I've seen a lot of people all over Twitter say it. The 08 team was better than this team. And looking,
I'd like to see him go head to head.
I would too.
I wish Madden was like 2K and had like all time teams, but they included the 08 Lions for some reason. And they just put this team against them and see what happens.
I don't disagree. It would be interesting to see because, frankly, that 08 team was abysmal.
Yep.
But you know what? This team might just be worse. Like it's bad.
Anything else to add on this sea of garbage?
No, I don't want to give them any more of my time. They're not worth it.
All right. Thank God. Let's move on. So Cade Cunningham made his debut against Orlando on Saturday. I was at the game. It was a fun environment. I'll be honest with you. It was probably one of the funner games I've been to just because of how amped the entire arena was to see Cade.
Reason.
Yeah.
You didn't get much of a show, but for good reason.
You didn't get much of a show. My dumbass decided to bet the over on Cade's points at 10.5, not realizing he was on a minutes restriction.
Andrew, we talked about this. I believe it was last week. We talked about how we expected Cade to have a little bit of a slow start.
Oh, no, yeah. And I totally did expect it. But once you're in that arena and you're seeing that energy, like, I was riding high off that.
Man, you got suckered. You got suckered. The sports book was probably going, oh yeah. They were just laughing and giggling to themselves as he went in and placed that bet.
My three favorite parts about that game was, one, the crowd just going nuts anytime Cade so much as touched the basketball.
How long do you think that lasts for?
Thing's probably going to be probably the first month of him playing at home.
I was saying like the first couple weeks, like first 4 or 5 games, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing.
Because you gotta let the first timers all come in each time, and
but that type of thing, I almost feel like gets a little sad.
Yeah. The only reason I'm thinking of it is like I feel like anyone who's really excited to see Cade in person will be there within the first month. After that, people coming in are going to be more not indifferent, but like not someone who's going to be cheering anytime he touches the ball kind of person. Right. But yeah, I don't think it's going to match the energy of for his debut. That's where you had all the Cade enthusiasts show up.
Right.
But
and again, for good reason. It was exciting. This is the biggest name we've had on this basketball team in a long time.
Yep. And one of the favorite parts of that game.
That was probably the highest anticipated debut since Grant Hill.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100% it was. And for good reason.
Yeah.
But the other thing I found awesome about that game was every time Mason tried to start a D up chant, instead of chanting D up, the whole crowd would chant Luca for Luca Garza.
Oh. Okay. All right.
And it got to the point where they got Hooper to the stands, like holding like D up signs, but they just kept saying Luca.
Interesting. Well, could that be the reason they sent his ass down to the Motor City Cruise?
It might have been. It might be a distraction. Kelly Olynyk got MVP chance.
You know, that's okay. That's cute, but at the same time, it's a loser's mentality. Like that's
people having fun.
I understand, but that's the fan base and the crowd that doesn't have a winning basketball team and they have nothing to play for. Like they have nothing exciting to be excited about. It's
just Kelly Olynyk came in and basically put the team on his back when he came in, and everyone just went nuts off of it. Yeah, but he's actually been like maybe our best offensive player so far this season.
We expected him to be pretty good. I mean, he was good last year. We expect him to be better than Mason Plumlee, who, by the way, was pretty solid for the Pistons last year. So there's your answer. But
obviously the Cade shooting splits were awful. I mean, I knew I was in for a bad time when he took that corner three and hit the side of the backboard. And I was like, shoot.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but you walked into that one. You should have known. Dude's coming in, first game of the year, no preseason. He's obviously going to be cold.
I had parlays running and everything hit except for that. I mean, I had like Isaiah Stewart, 6 boards. I had Sadiq, 2+3s. I had the over.
You ruined a parlay with a sucker bet. Congratulations.
I had the Pistons -6.5. Like I even took the Pistons minus the points.
You ruined yourself with a sucker bet.
Yep. But
now let me ask you this, and I'm going to kind of give my take on the whole Luka Garza situation before we break into Cade a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with what they did.
Me neither.
And the reason I say that, but there's a lot of people on Twitter that do, on Pistons Twitter in particular, that are saying we need to play Luka Garza more. We need to, he needs to get more involved. He hasn't really gotten an opportunity.
Good Lord.
He hasn't earned it. In the time that he's had, he's looked like a total defensive liability. Like he's got to he's got to allow, he's got to earn his spot on the floor on both sides of the ball. Like you can't just play one side of the ball. That's why guys like Enes Kanter, you can't play them in the playoffs. Why? Because they're a liability when they're on the floor.
There's a reason Garza didn't get into that game in Orlando. It's because the Wagner twins were cooking our bench, and it would have been 10 times worse if you had Garza in there. Yes, I love the kid offensively, but defensively, he's too much of a liability to play big minutes. I'm sorry.
And it's not. And yes, I know there's other defensive liabilities in this league. I'm not trying to compare him to guys like CJ McCollum and stuff, but because he is a defensive liability. But at the same time, his offensive game is so much better. You just kind of ignore the defensive liability aspect. And 2, it's a totally different situation when it's a guard when they're going up against a guard who may or may not be their primary scorer, or you're going up against a guy who really shouldn't be putting up a ton of buckets on you, but now is all of a sudden a threat because the guy, because you have to now essentially double when he gets penetration because your guy can't cover him. So that creates additional problems. When it's a primary guy that's getting beat by your defensive liability, that's one thing. That's expected regardless of who's defending him. But when it's their third or fourth guy that's beating your defensive liability, well, now you add an additional problem because that opens up the floor for other players out there that are more dangerous, and you can't have that.
And I like Luka enough where I would rather him get some playing time, actual game situation playing time in the G League to develop rather than just stare in the back of the bench and just play and practice. I
don't disagree at all, my friend. Anyways, let's go ahead and switch back over to Cade.
Yep.
So you were at the game. Give me your thoughts. What did you like? What didn't you like?
Obviously,
what's everybody excited about? What's all the hype about?
Obviously, the shooting splits were poor,
abysmal.
But let's put it all in context here. This is his first outside of summer league. This is his first 5-on-5 action.
This is his first 5-on-5 action in the NBA
since OK State. But
I don't consider summer league to be NBA basketball.
Yeah, everything
closer to G League ball.
Everything outside of that of shooting, everything outside of shooting, I really liked. I love the hustle on defense. He most of the time made the right reads offensively when he was hailing the ball. He did make a couple poor turnovers. One of them wasn't really his fault, but I mean, in particular, like I think it's already a telltale sign that when Cade was running the pick and roll, instead of rolling on the roll, instead of covering the roll man, Orlando was just doubling Cade, and Cade was finding the open player on those plays. Just the shots weren't falling, but
which has seriously been a big time theme with the Pistons this year.
Yeah.
And it was the game before the Orlando game that Cade played in, but during that game, I had texted you and our buddy Alex on my thoughts about this team, and
yeah,
I'll be honest with you, it just does not look like this team is really gelling together right now. The offense looks a little bit disjointed. They don't seem like they're playing together that well. The pick and roll looks clunky. The offense looks clunky. And it just doesn't make sense really because this is virtually the same team as it was last year.
Like Isaiah Stewart looks like it took a step back. I'm really hoping that just because of that ankle injury, he didn't have much time to practice and work out in the offseason.
Yeah,
that's what I'm really hoping
terrible.
it is.
He's looked pretty terrible to start the year. Yeah, but Saddiq Bey, for the most part, has been excellent to watch, and that's without his three-point shot doing a damn thing. Like, he's been abysmal from outside, but he's still found ways to score, and he's doing it in ways he wasn't able to last year. So that's something to be really excited about. He is a man amongst boys almost. Jeremy Grant's really struggled to start the year.
Yeah, Saddiq, Josh, and Kelly, they've been our big three, really.
Yes, absolutely. And, but anyways, back to what I was going with, watching the offense play, it just seems a little bit disjointed, and I'm not exactly sure why. I was trying to put my finger on it, and I really couldn't because, like I said, the team seemed like it flowed better last year, and there's no really big change. At least at that point, Cade hadn't even debuted yet, and there was no change with the rosters from what I could see. And so, Andrew, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Why does this team not look like it's gelling at all?
Again, literally the only thing I can think of, because I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Wayne Ellington was the glue guy, because clearly not. But the only thing I can think of is they did not, between Cade and Beef Stew, that's two starters who didn't really get to run with the starters in offseason and practice. And I'm praying that the whole thing is they just need a little more time to gel together after coming back from injury. That's what I'm praying it is. Am I confident that that's the issue? No, but I don't know what else it could be because this team has shown that they gel together very well. Again, it's still early on, so I'm not panicking.
Right,
so.
And neither am I. That's why I'm really not going to put too much stock in it. But I can't really say that I agree with that because, again, the offense doesn't, and I'm taking Cade out of this situation because he didn't play with the team last year and he hasn't played with the team outside of one game so far this year.
Yeah.
But, the offense has never run through Isaiah Stewart. He's not been the focal point of the offense at all. But
he also wasn't in the starting unit, so this is the first.
And you had Mason Plumlee, but I wouldn't think Mason Plumlee would be the glue either. That doesn't make sense either. So,
but you think about the difference coming off the bench and starting for Beef Stew. Remember, Beef Stew had an issue picking up fouls in his rookie year. He had an issue in foul trouble. He's got to learn how, and I think now he's over adjusting to try not to pick up too many fouls to stay in the game longer, and I think it's hurting his game a little bit.
But I'm really that kind of goes to my point a little bit though, is the offense didn't run through Isaiah Stewart last year. It didn't run through Mason Plumlee last year, and it doesn't run through Isaiah Stewart this year.
Yeah.
So looking at the other 3 or 4 guys on the floor between Killian, Saddiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, insert other name here that's going to be there, Josh Jackson or Frank Jackson, whoever, it still doesn't seem like it's gelling, and those guys did play together last year.
Yeah.
Looked a lot
Frank's
better
shot
last year.
hasn't fallen anywhere near the rate it was falling last year.
The team doesn't look like it's gelled now, and I understand a lot of it has to do with the fact the shot's just not falling. If the shot's falling, it doesn't matter what the rest of the offense looks like. But it just looks clunky right now, and I'm not exactly sure why or what's going on. And
it's too many Kojo minutes. That's what it is.
Honestly, he's looked like one of the best players on the floor. So
I disagree.
It's at some points he has, and other points no. But they don't. I mean, it's a struggle. It really is, and it's tough to watch right now. But again, it's early. The shots are going to fall. This team is not as bad as this. This team's not as bad at shooting as the numbers say. I don't expect them to be a great shooting team by any measure. They're probably even a below average shooting team, but right now they look like one of the worst shooting teams I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And
the good news is they're currently a top 10 team defensively in terms of defensive rating. Do I expect that to continue? I don't know really, because
they played the Bulls pretty tough, and the Bulls look like they got some weapons on offense.
Yep.
This defense may be a little bit better than we thought.
Mm-hmm. The other positive I do take, though, is because Killian had an awful first few games. Not saying he's been great or even good the last couple of games,
shooting
but
like 16%.
He's
shooting, I think, 23% from the field.
He's at the benefit that I can give him is that he's active. You can see that he's actively working on the things that we've been harping on, and a lot of fans have been harping on. Like, just for example, with the Brooklyn game, he attacked the basket with KD on and went in for the layup. He drew 4 fouls. Also, he drew 2 fouls. He shot 4 free throws, which are I think the first free throws he shot all season, which is kind of sad. But we've been saying want him to attack and draw fouls, and he was finally starting to do that in that Brooklyn game. He did a little bit of that in the. He attacked a little more in the Orlando game as well. So just him being on the attack, and then again defensively, I still really liked it. I think he had 5 steals against Brooklyn.
So I saw a tweet about Killian today that it was a little bit of an older tweet. It was after the game where he shot 4 of 11, put up 12 points in 3 quarters. The tweet said, Killian Hayes silencing the detractors. These are his numbers after 3 quarters. And you see that, and it says 4 of 11. He's got 12 points. And I couldn't help but laugh because, like,
you can't.
Those numbers are not good.
You can't do that. You can't
lower. Legitimately serious tweet too.
You can't lower the bar for the guy. You can take things in context from following his career and say, "Oh, these are positives," but you can't sit here and just straight up lower the bar. You can't do that.
Anytime a dude is shooting 4 of 11, that shouldn't be considered a good night for him.
Yeah,
like
that should you can't lower the bar.
A bad night. Like,
you can say, "Oh, he looks better." You can't say silencing detractor.
That's still a bad game. He is an NBA player. He's got to shoot better than 32% from the floor, and he's not even shooting that on the year. He's shooting, like I said, like 23% from the field. That's terrible. That's honest to God, that's so bad that you can't justify putting him in meaningful minutes if these minutes were actually meaningful at this point. Like, you can't justify playing that dude when you need a win. That's how bad it's been with Killian Hayes. And
I do think what's keeping him around the starting lineup is his defense. His playmaking has not been on par with what he did in the limited time he played last year. But
again, I think that goes along with the fact that this offense is not gelling.
Yeah.
And I think as this team starts to playing together a little bit better, the pick and roll is smoother, the plays are run smoother, and the offense starts to gel together, I think you will see Killian Hayes' playmaking start to get back to what we expect and maybe even make a bit of a jump. But it's got to get there, and it does start with Killian and the ball handlers there, but it's got to run through the guys that are your primary scorers, your Jeremy Grants, your Sadiq Bays. We're throwing Cade Cunningham into that mix as well. It's got to run through those guys.
Do you know if Cade's on a minute restriction tonight?
I do not. The fact that you also took the over on his points when you knew he had a minutes restriction going.
I didn't know he had a minutes restriction.
Well,
I found that out after.
I don't know where. Did you just turn your phone off 3 hours before the game because it was?
No, I just didn't get the notification.
It came up as a notification on my phone from 5 different media sources. How did you not get?
Really?
One? Yes.
I didn't. You can look back at my phone. I have no such notification.
It came from ESPN. It came from The Score. It came from Bleacher Report. It came from Odyssey app. It came from everything.
I don't have ESPN or ESPN The Score, but I do have Bleacher Report and the Odyssey app.
I don't know how you.
I would have hoped it would have come. He's on my Yahoo Fantasy team. I would have hoped it would have come from there, but it didn't.
Well, there's your first problem: is joining a Yahoo Fantasy League. I'm kidding. Yahoo.
I'm adamant that Yahoo is for basketball. Yahoo is the best fantasy platform.
I kind of like ESPN still.
I do like ESPN, but the fact that Yahoo offers
have you tried Sleepers basketball?
Public paid leagues.
The Sleeper apps basketball?
No, I've been wanting to try them for football, but I haven't.
I have too.
Done it yet.
I actually turned down an offer to join a sleeper league this year in football, and I just
should have joined it and reported back.
I should have. Anyways, I don't know how you didn't get that notification because, like I said, I got it from 4 or 5 apps. And it all came at different times too. It wasn't just they all came at once. It came at different times. I think The Score got me first, and then ESPN and Bleacher Report got me later, and then Odyssey I think got me just a couple hours before the game. But
yeah, no, I obviously would not have bet that if I knew that. But honestly, he shot the ball enough to hit that over. They just weren't going in.
Yeah, well, I don't expect the guy to make shots when he hasn't played real basketball in his career. So, anyways,
there is no minutes restriction for Cade tonight.
That's good. That's good. So I'll say this, and I'll kind of tie everything together here with the Cade talk.
Yeah,
Pistons fans, don't look at Game 1 and panic on Cade. Like, again, we said it last week.
Or 2 or 3 or 4.
Right. We said it last week. I fully expect Cade Cunningham to start slow, at least in terms of scoring. He's not going to come out and just start burning the net. Like, you got to give him some time to get his legs underneath him and get adjusted to the shot in live minutes and allow him to adjust. And that's what it takes. It's a tough league, and he hasn't gotten to experience it in any way, shape, or form. Because, like I said, I don't consider summer league NBA basketball.
Yeah, and also another thing, don't be a box score watcher with him. Like, Cade does so much well that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So don't go, oh, he only scored 5 points and say, oh my God, he's bust.
I'm going to disagree with you there also.
Really?
When it comes to the guy who you are expecting to be your superstar, if his numbers aren't showing up in the box score, he ain't what you drafted him to be. He's the number one pick. His numbers have to show up in the box score. Yes, he does do a lot of things that doesn't show up in the box score. However, he's the number one pick. He's supposed to be your superstar. That's got to show up in the box score. You can't have Danny Green out there.
Well, I mean, if you want to look at box score, he did have 6 rebounds with 7 minutes left to go in the first quarter.
Right. No, don't get me wrong. Not everything he did in that game was bad. He was active on the glass. Absolutely. Yeah. I would like to see the assist numbers come up, but again, that's not just on him.
Yeah. I'm just saying, don't put all the weight in the first few weeks. Don't put all the weight into how many points did he score. That's what a lot of fans tend to do.
Is in the box score either. Yeah. Who he is in the box score is the fact that he puts up numbers in multiple facets. Those are still box score numbers, but at some point he has to start showing up and putting up big totals in the box score. Like he has to. He is your.
Well, yeah, no. At some point, yeah, I'd agree.
And I would hope it's sometime soon. Because, again, if we want this guy to be Rookie of the Year, well, he's got to start now. It's already behind the ball a little bit.
I think, who would you say is leading right now?
It's either Scotty Barnes or Evan Mobley.
It's Evan Mobley for me.
It's one of those two. And Jalen Green really hasn't jumped off the page just yet. Yeah, he has had a couple.
He had that one game.
Yeah. The other guy, I can't remember who it was, but there is one other guy.
Josh Giddey. Chris Duarte has been real good too. Yep. That's how that's how I was hoping the Pistons be able to get with that first second round pick, but I don't think he didn't quite fall that far. He was projected to for a while, and then
But either way, don't panic on Cade. Even if tonight he comes out and shoots 3 of 12, don't panic. Just give him time. Let him get adjusted. Let him get up to the speed of things. It will come around. So I'm not panicking. I'm not going to panic, and he's going to be all right. And I'm hoping as he starts, coming into his own, you'll start to see this offense start to flow a little bit better. Because I know it isn't much, but a lot of this offseason, a lot of training camp was spent with Cade being a big part of this offense. So without him being there, they were instituting a new look offense. Well, when you start to institute a new look offense and then you take a really core piece out of that well, then you kind of struggle a little bit. You take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back at that point. So let's see if once he gets in there, if the team starts to play a little bit better.
I got no qualms with that statement.
Good, because it's true. But obviously it's game 2 of Cade Cunningham tonight, which is a Tuesday night, actually just started. Expectations for tonight, Andrew?
I'll be honest with you, I'm expecting more of the same. I mean, I hope a couple more shots fall, but I'm expecting the primary thing to stand out will be his defense, his playmaking, and just some of the intangibles.
If he puts up 20 points, are you just gonna cry?
Yes.
All right.
You will receive about 7 to 10 texts from me. And half of them will just say, K.
He's going to get an opportunity tonight because this isn't the same Milwaukee team that won the title. This Milwaukee team is very short-handed tonight. So I do think Cade's going to get quite a bit of opportunity to make some plays happen.
And supposedly he's probably going to get a few more minutes than he did in his first game.
Oh, I would guarantee it. I would like to see him somewhere around 27, 28 minutes tonight at least. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all.
And I'm hoping Killian gets some fourth quarter minutes because they finally started doing that, I think, last game against Brooklyn. But they kept not playing him in the fourth and just going Kojo the whole time. And it was really annoying.
What do you think the reason behind that is? Is he playing himself out of games with his shot?
I just think Kojo, they need the offense that Kojo provides and Killian doesn't. That's what I think it is. But
I don't disagree.
It says something that over the last couple games he's gotten more aggressive and been a little less timid with the ball offensively.
Trying to earn his minutes.
And after that, he's been staying in the fourth quarter. So,
well, that's good.
Which is why that tells me I think that's the direct reason.
and that's what Killian needs. And I do think with Cade Cunningham coming into the lineup and them playing alongside each other, I do think it's going to take a little bit of pressure off of Killian Hayes because there's going to be fewer eyes on him now. The eyes are going to be switching over to Cade Cunningham, and Killian's going to be able to operate without as much pressure.
Yeah, he was a lot more aggressive playing alongside Cade in Summer League. I'm just hoping that translates. And
right, it's a little bit easier to be more aggressive in Summer League, though.
That's very true.
But
I have one more question for you before we close out. What do you think of the Pistons alts?
The new Nike City uniforms?
Yeah.
I don't hate them. I like that they brought the red back. It's not the red I wanted. I wanted that dark red that they wore during the teal era with the horse on it. Like, I like that red better. They're not horrible, though. I like that they brought in every era of the Pistons. I would have liked them to make the horse more of a forefront, a little bit more.
I agree.
Like, they did the teal stripe in the striping on the jersey, and then they put the horse in the shorts also, but it's not enough. Like, I would have liked to see the horse a little bit bigger.
I mean, I was crossing my fingers for like a full-on teal throwback.
Well, this is just the Nike City edition.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
A throwback deal.
Yeah. Because they said they were going to be paying homage to like jerseys of the past. I was hoping like part of that homage would be teal jerseys.
Technically speaking, they did. They did pay homage to multiple eras of Pistons basketball.
I full on agree with you that I was hoping we go like kind of like what the Raptors did, where they had the full Raptor logo on the jersey. We had that full horse logo again on the jersey. But at the same time, I still think they're my favorite alternate jerseys we've had since the Reds that the Going to Work crew had. I think they're my favorite since.
I don't think the Pistons uniforms are very good.
No, they're very bland.
Yeah, I think they're boring as hell. I think it's like
the color wave. You can do a lot with that. You can do a lot with that color scheme. They just haven't been really taking advantage of it. Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
those colors pop. You can do a lot with that.
They clash too, though. Red and blue clash. Frankly, I would prefer to see them at this point. I feel like this almost feels like a teal era. I want to see the Pistons go back into the teal era.
The teal era was
Grant Hill.
Yeah, it should have been like the seeds of a championship team, which in a way it was. But those guys we parlayed into our championship players, not so much they grew into our championship team.
Like I would like to see the Pistons go back to the teals for 5-ish years, and as this team comes into its own, then we can go back to the red, white, and blues when we're winning titles. But I do think in their current state, the uniforms are a little bit bland, and I'd like to see them spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Bring back the horse. Let's do some teal. Let's have some fun with it. Granted, mind you, during the era of the teals, I'm pretty sure like 80% of the league had some form of teal in their colorway, but and that's not the case anymore. But still,
no. And they released a new alternate court design to go with the jersey too.
Did they?
Like, how many alternate courts do we have?
Interesting. How do you feel about the new court?
I actually really like what they did with the sidelines.
Yeah, the sidelines are cool.
And I do like the I don't even know how to phrase it. Kind of like the style of wood.
Yeah, I like that.
Finishing
also. It's almost like old school Boston Garden like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's exactly
I like
what
that.
It is.
I'll say this. I feel like it is a golden rule of basketball that the paint should be
painted. No, I agree. And I've seen it with a few teams, and I've never liked it.
I can't stand it. It drives me nuts.
it makes it, to me, it makes it feel like a practice court when I don't see the paint painted.
That, and I feel like it almost makes it seem like the paint isn't important anymore.
Yeah, which it really isn't. But
I mean, in today's game, but it takes such an
it's never not important, but
right.
it's losing some of its importance.
Element out of basketball, like
yeah.
I know it sounds stupid, but I almost feel like it takes out the physicality of being rough and tough in the paint. You know. Like, that's the mentality you want to give to Isaiah Stewart. Mm-hmm. Well, give him something to guard down there. Give him something to defend. Give him terrain.
It's like a team that doesn't have the end zone painted. Like, there's something to be said about the paint in the end zone. Like, by the way, I have the game on right now too. While we're
minimal things here, but anyway,
I have the game on while we're talking. And first 2 plays were sloppy, but Cade just had a really nice behind the back dish. Jeremy Grant for a 3.
Nice. Okay.
Made me very, very happy.
You know what? That's cool. That's great. I like it. Please just score.
Yeah.
Like, no, in all seriousness, like, I really like the fact that Cade's willing to distribute the basketball, but I want to see this dude show me that he can take over a game, because that's the one thing we're missing on this team, is a guy who can say, all right, give me the ball and get the hell out of my way. Yeah. Like, we don't have that, and we haven't had that in a long time, and I want Cade to be able to be that guy, so I need him to show that to me. That's the thing that I am asking out of Cade the most, is to be able to be the guy on the floor.
They totally just disrespected Giannis, by the way. He got the ball all alone at the 3-point line, and no one even made an effort to go guard him.
Did he
but
make
he made it.
Yeah.
He made it.
Yeah, okay. When are people going to learn that Giannis Antetokounmpo can shoot threes now? Like,
at least wide open.
No, he can shoot them defended too. He proved that in the preseason. Like, this dude can shoot now. That was the one thing the NBA, like, everybody who's a fan of the league, not like a Bucks fan, said. Like, the scariest thing that could possibly happen to this league is Giannis Antetokounmpo developing a shot. Well, guess what?
It's kind of like what they in the NFL. Derrick Henry being involved in the passing game is the scariest thing that could happen in the NFL.
Fun fact, he proved he is human this past week.
Yep.
Broke his foot.
Did you see someone on Reddit a couple weeks ago had posted, like, everyone, like, all the running backs have gotten hurt this year, like how it's seemed like more than recent years, but he's like the one guy that's been seemingly injury proof is Derrick Henry. Nice. And then everyone's like, you shut up. You shut up. So people are bringing it back up now. Like, this guy ruined it for everybody.
Isn't it the same injury that, like, kept Cam Newton on the sidelines for like 2 years too? That Liz Frank injury? That's a yikes for a guy who carries the ball 300 times a season.
Not a nice injury.
No. Hope.
But they said he might make it back by the end of the season.
I think that's Mike Vrabel just talking shit.
That's a good timeline for the surgery recovery.
Yeah, I think he's full of shit. I think Derrick Henry's done for the year. I hope for a very good and quick recovery for Derrick Henry, and not too quick because I want him to be able to fully heal. I mean, I'm a fan of Derrick Henry. I have been for a long time. Feed the beast, man. Been a big believer in that.
Giannis just bullied Cade into a layup. I mean, I'm not upset about that because Giannis can bully pretty much anybody in the league.
Giannis can bully anybody. It's Giannis. In fact, the fact that they have Cade on him, that's...
He got switched on him.
Okay. That makes more sense. I get it. Cade's a little bit bigger body, or got some length and got some height, but Giannis is 7 feet tall and his wingspan's like 12 feet. So...
Yeah. Anyway, shall we close this out? We're rambling now.
Yep, let's go ahead and close it out. We will catch you guys next week. Thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoy the show. Go Pistons and Lions. Just do something. Thank you guys for joining us. Andrew, thank you for joining me.
Thank God we get a week off from the Lions next week.
Seriously, though. And thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast. What are we going to talk about?
That's going to be all Pistons.
Thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast. As always, follow us on Twitter at RealFanReport. We will catch you guys next week. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
By the way, Mo Sider named Rookie of the Month. 4 fans.
I did see that. You know, it honestly could have been Mo Sider or Lucas Raymond. Both have been monsters.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Go Pistons. Go Wings. Peace out.
Peace.